Welcome back to our channel. We are having very sad news about Namibia President Hage Geingob died today. Hage Geingob, the president of Namibia, passed away at the age of 82 as he was undergoing medical care at a hospital in Windhoek, the capital of Namibia. Mr. Geingob, a veteran of the country's struggle for independence, had become aware of the fact that he had been diagnosed with cancer and disclosed the information to the general public 1 month ago. He passed away early on Sunday morning, with his wife and children by his side, according to the announcement made by Vice President Mbumba. Since then, Mr. Mbumba has had the honor of being sworn in as his successor. He paid tribute to his predecessor by stating that our nation remains calm and stable due to the leadership of President Geingob, who was the chief architect of the Constitution. He was referring to the accomplishments of President Geingob. Despite having served in high political posts ever since the country gained its independence in 1990, Mr. Geingob was not sworn in as president until the year 2015. The precise reason for his passing was not disclosed, but according to his office, he had undergone a 2-day novel treatment for cancerous cells in the United States prior to his return to his home country on January 31 the previous month. People have been expressing their recollections of a person who they have characterized as a visionary, as well as a joyful individual who was able to share a joke over the radio in Namibia. Leaders from all over the world have been sending messages of condolence, with many of them mentioning Mr. Geingob's efforts to ensure the freedom of his country. He has been referred to as a towering veteran of Namibia's liberation from colonialism and apartheid by Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, which is a bordering country for Namibia. Having been a member of the SWAPO party for a considerable amount of time, Mr. Geingob was a tall guy who possessed a deep, gravelly voice and a powerful appearance. The struggle against apartheid South Africa, which had essentially conquered the country, which was then known as Southwest Africa, and implemented its system of legalized racism that excluded black people from political and economic power, was led by this organization. During his 27 years in exile, Mr. Geingob spent time in Botswana, the United States of America, and the United Kingdom, where he pursued his doctoral studies in politics. It was in 1989 when he returned to Namibia, which was 1 year prior to the country's attainment of independence. Looking back, the journey of building a new Namibia has been worthwhile. He wrote on social media in the year 2020, while sharing a picture of himself kissing the ground upon his return at the time. Even though we have made a lot of progress in developing our country, more work lies ahead to build an inclusive society. At the time of Mr. Geingob's initial election as president in 2015, he had already established himself as the nation's longest-serving prime minister. He had held the position for a period of 12 years beginning in 1990, and again for a shorter period of time in 2012. However, one could deduce from the outcomes of the election that his popularity had decreased. Over 87% of the vote, he was victorious in the election that took place in 2014. However, after 5 years, that percentage had dropped to 56%. According to the World Bank, Mr. Geingob's first time in office coincided with a prolonged period of economic stagnation, as well as high rates of unemployment and poverty. In addition, throughout his term in government, his party was embroiled in a series of scandals involving corruption. The term fish rot was coined to describe the situation in which ministers and high-ranking officials were suspected of accepting bribes in exchange for the awarding of lucrative fishing quotas. According to the findings of an independent polling agency called Afrobarometer, by the year 2021, 3/4 of the population believed that the nation was heading in the wrong direction. This statistic represents a threefold rise since 2014. An observer of Namibian politics who had been around for a long time, Henning Melber, wrote in 2021 that the heroic story of SWAPO, having liberated the country, was losing its attraction among a generation that was born after the event. This was 30 years after the country gained its independence. SWAPO, which has been in power since the country's independence, had named Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah as its presidential candidate for the elections that are scheduled to take place in November. She has been appointed vice president, and if she is successful, she will become the first woman to ever hold the position of president of the country. Thanks for watching.